Hey guys, it's time for our spooky reads reveal. And I'm a little excited to read this one because I haven't read this author yet. I've been wanting to for a long time, and it's kind of an old school choice for our Spooky Reads October read. It is a perfect day, I think, for it outside because it's really rainy and ick outside. I feel like very fall with how the weather is today. Windy, rainy, and maybe not rainy so much. I really like when it's not raining, but it is what it is. I do have to run some errands today, and I might just pick up some pumpkins and take you along. I don't know if it's raining too much, I'm not going to do that. It seems to be just kind of damp right now, so it might work out. I don't know. So for the reveal of Spooky Reads, let's just go ahead and open it. Agatha Christie. Anyone guess that? This one's Halloween Party. I didn't really intend to read this one first from her, but since we were doing Spooky Reads, I thought it would be perfect since we're probably going to be posting this around Halloween, at least the days leading up to Halloween. And I don't know much about it. I know in general how Agatha Christie books go. And what's funny is I just finished a book that referenced Agatha Christie, and it was actually, let me grab it real quick. So I just finished The Fury by Alex Michaelides, and it very much felt like the movies that always reference Agatha Christie, like Glass Onion. It really reminded me of that movie that I saw on Netflix. And it's kind of a whodunit, but it's actually, this is a twist on that. So I wouldn't say it's exactly like Agatha Christie, but I am soon to find out because I'm going to be reading, finally, Agatha Christie for the first time. So come along on the journey to see how this goes. Hopefully it's spooky enough. Also, funny enough, Amanda recently asked me if I was up for doing an Agatha Christie vlog. And what's funny is she asked me after I had wrapped this, and how we have been approaching this is we don't tell each other what book we had wrapped. So I didn't want to spoil it and say, well, I'm already starting an Agatha Christie book. So I think she's going to laugh when she sees that I have this. But she literally asked me when I had this wrapped for this vlog, because it's been wrapped now for a little bit, given that it was, we had these picked out for our October TBR. So, so yeah, I am willing to do an Agatha Christie vlog. I already had picked one, so hopefully I'm really gonna like her. We'll see.
Hi guys, I am very excited because today is the day we are going to reveal and start to read our spooky reads for the fall season. We wanted to do this vlog around Halloween time, and we wanted to pick a spooky book that we wrap for our TBR, and then we reveal it on the vlog what book we're going to be reading. So let me grab mine. Alright, so this is the spooky book that I have chosen to read for the season, and I'm going to unwrap it. So we can see what it is. Alright. I have chosen to read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is a dark academia book. It is, I feel like it's perfect for the fall setting, kind of spooky vibe. I don't know a lot about this book. It has been highly rated. I know that I like dark academia books, and it is part of a series. I know there's another book after this one, at least a duology, possibly a series, I'm not sure. So I'm going into this book not knowing a lot, which is how I like to go into books. I don't really like to know everything about the book or be spoiled or have it set really high expectations. So I'm going into this book not knowing a lot, but I do know that you're following a woman who gets invited to go to Yale at a full with a full ride scholarship, and she has no idea how or why she's being offered this opportunity, but she takes it because she I think she is like a dropout from high school, and she lives like on the other side of the country, maybe in LA, and she has had like a rough life. So she gets this amazing opportunity and she takes it, and she goes to Yale. And when she gets there, she kind of tries to figure out why she was given this opportunity. What's the catch here? And she gets mixed up in some secret society, that kind of dark, mysterious element of this college, which is Yale, in this book that she's going to. So I'm sure she's going to meet some really dark characters, and dark things are going to happen, maybe some spooky things. I feel like the vibe of this book is going to be a spooky academic setting, of course, because it is dark academia. But I'm really looking forward to this book. It is Sunday today, so I am gonna have a little more time to read today than usual. So I have to get some of my housework done around here and do some laundry. But after that is done, I'm gonna relax and start reading my book, and I cannot wait.
Hey guys, I was just at the DMV. I think they don't even call it the DMV anymore. I feel like I'm showing my age by saying that. Anyway, there is a place I get pumpkins every year right across the street, so I'm gonna go over there and get some. And it's all of the trees look very fall, so I'm gonna try and get some footage of it because I love this time of year, especially when the leaves are turning all the beautiful colors. So here we go. Look at this tiny little pumpkin. I could not get it. It's so tiny. As I start this Agatha Christie, I realized I got the Hercule Poirot mystery, and I looked up the pronunciation of that because though I took French in high school, I was not saying that word, his name, right. Hercule Poirot. And I noticed that there's a movie coming out, A Haunting of Venice, which, great timing. I don't know when that comes out. I have to look that up. But I am about to start Agatha Christie's Halloween Party.
Hey guys, it is now Monday, the next day. I am currently on page 116, which is chapter 7 of Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I didn't get as far as I would like to have gotten yesterday through the book, so I'm gonna have to find some time to make up for it today. Early on in the book, I found something I didn't know that I want to mention because it's actually discussed really early in the book, and I didn't know it when I had filmed last, unwrapping the book to show you guys my mystery spooky read. And it is the fact that the reason Alex has been chosen to attend Yale on a full ride by this secret society is because she can see ghosts. And she's not the only person that can see ghosts, but as far as I know, and as far as a lot of the people in this book, as far as I can tell, as much as they know, she is the only one that can do it without a special elixir and that can see the ghost in color. So the ghosts are called grays, and other people in these secret societies can see the ghost, but they have to ingest an elixir that is very, very hard to make, and it's potentially deadly. So they don't like to do it very often, and they found Alex, and she can see these ghosts in color, and without using elixir, she sees them naturally. So they have invited her to come to Yale, and she's part of a group called the Lethe, and they are make up members of these secret societies, but they are the group that kind of oversee the secret societies as far as keeping them out of trouble. So if there's a dead body that shows up on campus, they try to make sure that there's no links for that dead body to any of the secret societies. And these secret societies, although they're not like straight up murderers, at least I haven't read any of that so far, they do kind of human experimentation on some people. So even though their goal is not to kill the person, sometimes during these experiments the people can end up dead. And so she's part of this group that kind of wants to make sure the well-being of these societies is protected, and that, you know, nothing really bad falls back on them as far as the public is concerned. She's also introduced to a lot of magic, and this Lethe has magic, and the secret societies I think also have magic that they use for certain things, and I haven't really found out a lot about that, but there are magic spells that regard ink and blood as far as sending messages to people, and so I have learned a little bit about that. So this book's getting really interesting. Right now, she has been tasked with following up with a murder that happened. There was a murder of a 20-year-old girl, and they said, oh, you need to go talk to the police, go to the crime scene, see what you can find out to make sure this doesn't come back on any of our secret societies. So she goes to check it out, and this woman has been stabbed in the chest, and she asked the police, and they're like, oh, the boyfriend did it, he has a bunch of priors and drugs and yada yada yada, so they think he got jealous and stabbed her. So I guess as far as protecting the secret societies go, then she's okay, but there's something about it that she says doesn't feel right. She thinks the police could possibly be wrong, and she's kind of interested in finding out what happened with this murder. So that's where we're at right now. Also want to mention she has a friend named Darlington. Daniel Arlington is his name, and they call him Darlington, and he's the guy that introduced her when she came to campus. He introduced her to the society, the Lethe, and kind of answered some of her questions, but there's still a lot of secrets he's keeping from her. She doesn't know not nearly everything she needs to know, and he is now missing. So the plot thickens, and she is trying to figure all these things out, and she's missing her friend, and she's like kind of biding her time, hoping he comes back soon. So it's getting interesting. I'm really enjoying the book so far. The only thing that I am kind of frustrated with and do not like about the book is the book jumps back and forth in the timeline. So you're starting out in the winter season, and then you jump back to fall. So you start out in winter, which is, I guess, the equivalent of their present day in this book, and then you jump back to fall to where she first came to campus, and then you jump up to winter and then back to fall. And although I do see the value in changing timelines, and you know, that can really set up some good twists and can keep you guessing, and you find out little bits of information at a time, I get frustrated as a reader jumping back and forth from the timeline, because it's just kind of like with me, when you switch point of view of characters, you have to kind of get your mind readjusted to thinking about that character and that character's point of view. The same thing with the timeline. I have to readjust to think, okay, so what I just read happens after what I'm reading now. So for me, you know, I don't really enjoy that much, but I am, you know, dealing with it, and the book has been really good so far.
All right, I'm about 50 pages into my first Hercule Poirot. It's going to be horrible. I probably shouldn't say his name anymore because I can't do a French accent. So the start of this book is obviously at a Halloween party, and a young girl is murdered, and you get bits of information, I guess clues as to who her murderer, or actually more clues to potential motivation of why she was killed. But the way she was killed, I'll never look at Bobbing for Apples the same. So I didn't get very far. There is a murder mystery writer that is at this party, and she goes to seek out, you know, that name, that character. And so he is now on the scene asking questions. So I'm going to see him in action for myself, and let's see how this goes.
Hey guys, yes, I am filming again in my car. It's the next day, it's Tuesday, and I am on page 313 of Ninth House, and I am about that far, I have that much left, about that far into it, so hopefully I will be finishing that up today and can get my final thoughts down, and we can get this video out for you guys. But I am in my car because I am going to the bookstore. Today is the release of Britney Spears' new book, and Jen and I want to read that, and so we are trying to get our hands on a copy. I'm going into the bookstore. I am going to a local bookstore first. I'm going to try a locally owned small business, a bookstore, to see if they have a copy. I've never been here before, so I'm kind of excited to check it out and see what I can find. But that's probably the only book I'm going to buy, because next month there are so many releases coming out that I have to get. Of course, I've pre-ordered Iron Flame, so I will be getting that. Also, Rebecca Yarros is releasing another edition of Fourth Wing with sprayed edges and some bonus chapters, so I'm going to try to get my hands on that. And we also have, what else? There's like, oh, the Pirate King's Daughter, the third book in that series, is coming out with the sprayed edges. I think it's called The Siren Queen's Vengeance. I have to get a copy of that. I have, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I can't even think of it right now, but there are just so many books coming out next month that I have to buy and get a copy of. So I'm going to try to limit myself to just getting Britney Spears' new book. But let's go in here and check it out, see if this store has anything interesting, and hopefully get my copy of Britney Spears' Woman in Me. Read this. I have heard good things about this book, and It's not something I would typically want to pick up, but if anyone has read this and wants to throw some information about it in the comments, I would appreciate it. Okay, that was a bust. The owner of the store was so nice. She said she ordered 2, but she hadn't got them in yet. While I was there, the FedEx guy came and brought in 5 more boxes, and she actually opened those boxes right away looking for me a copy of Britney Spears' book, but they didn't have it. It didn't come in on the release day, so they'll probably get them tomorrow, but I didn't want to wait. I'm gonna try to go to another bookstore. Probably, I'm thinking Half Price Books. Or I don't know, I might just try to look for another local shop around here. I'm kind of having fun looking in the little local shops, so maybe I'll see where I can get that. But in the meantime, I'm getting really hungry and it's lunchtime, so I'm gonna go to Chipotle. There's Chipotle right in this kind of shopping center around the corner here, so I'm gonna drive down to the Chipotle and get some lunch and read some more of Ninth House. Okay, I am back in my car. While I was eating lunch, I looked up trying to find a local bookstore around here. I found one. I did call them to see if they had Britney Spears' new book before I drove out there, and they did not. So I am going to go to a Books A Million. There's a Books A Million about 6, almost 7 miles from here. So I'm going to drive out to the Books A Million and pick up a copy. That trip was a success. I was able to get my book. Hold on a second. It's really hot. It started out like 30 degrees today, and now I think it's like 55. So hold on one second. Okay, had to take the sweatshirt off, but okay. I got Woman in Me by Britney Spears, and I think this book is selling like crazy because when I was in the store, they probably had about 10 copies left, or at least out on the display, and I got my copy, and then there was a woman that came in right behind me and got her copy, and she was like, "Oh, this is the only reason I'm here," and I was like, "Oh, me too." So yeah, we got our books. I got my book, and when I get done reading Ninth House, I will be starting this book, or at least trying to figure out when Jen and I want to do our reading vlog on this book. So if you guys are interested in the Britney Spears book, click that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you will be notified when we read this and tell you guys what we think about it.
So, unfortunately, for my spooky read, I was not able to record as much or vlog as much as I read, because right after about the 50-page update that I did, I got really, really sick. I was so out of it, and I did not feel good. I had a sore throat, I had a fever, and I just felt so sick. I was worried I had COVID. I took a COVID test. There was a whole day where I just slept the whole day, and does not exist to me because I slept the whole day. Obviously, my body just needed to heal whatever was happening. I don't even know what I had. And I couldn't record at that time. That's mostly when I was reading, other than the day that I slept. But the next day after that, I read all day because I was just laying around like, ugh. And I didn't want to record because I was just gross, very phlegmy, and no one wants to see that. No one needs to see that. So I was definitely not recording when I was doing that. I just was finishing this book, and it was also kind of torturous because I think I chose the wrong Agatha Christie book to start with her. I had looked up online because I started to think, like, is it me? I always thought I was going to love Agatha Christie. I mean, I've heard so much about, you know, movies that I've seen based on her books, movies that were inspired by Agatha Christie, even books that were inspired by Agatha Christie. I always felt like I was going to love an Agatha Christie book. And when I was looking up online, there was like a ranking, and I don't remember who did this ranking or if it's justified, but I was just trying to see, like, where is this book in the canon of Agatha Christie? Where does this book lie? Maybe I should have looked at this before I chose this. And I think the first one they had, like, the best book by Agatha Christie was And Then There Were None. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try that one before I'm, like, writing off Agatha Christie or Poirot. I don't even know if And Then There Were None is Poirot, but... And Halloween Party on this list was towards the bottom. It wasn't the very bottom, but it was close to the bottom. And I was like, okay, so maybe it's just the choice that I made. It's just when we came up with a spooky read, it was going to be around Halloween. It's October. I mean, look at this cover. It's speaking Halloween, and it's called Halloween Party. I just thought it fit. Everything, you know, there were so many boxes I can check off with this, and it just did not go that way. It was very promising in the beginning. It started off with a murder, and shockingly, it was a murder of like a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old. And it's in the very beginning, so this isn't a spoiler, but there is a Halloween party that they're prepping, and the girl is murdered by drowning in a bobbing for apples container, bucket, whatever you want to say, which I was like, wow. And also calls back to, I mean, obviously this was first, it was written in the 60s, but there's a Supernatural episode that also involves a Halloween party and a bobbing for apples murder. Anywho, so there's a murder, and it's shocking to everyone of what happened. How could this young girl be murdered? And someone is friends with Poirot and seeks him out to bring him to try and solve what happened. And so he's doing what I'm sure he does in all of the novels, which is his detective work of asking questions of everybody. But this is the part, and it was the main meat of the story, that I feel just dragged for me. It was so repetitive, and it just did not keep my interest. And I kept thinking, is it just because I'm sick and I don't feel good? I mean, maybe that could be part of it. I'm not sure. But I was definitely not entertained at all by that part of the book. It got good in about like the last 20 pages, and there were a lot of twists at the end, and it wasn't who I thought it was. There's a lot of characters that you are introduced to, and again, could be my sick mind, but I couldn't keep track of all these people that he was asking questions of, and he was inquiring into murders that happened years before. So it was just, I felt like it was all over the place, and I thought maybe it's just trying to confuse you and mislead you, but I don't know. I don't think that was it. I just think that, I bet Poirot does that in a lot of his books, is he's just asking questions and getting a whole picture of what's happened so that he can deduce who it was, and I'm sure he's right every time. There's even a line in there, I think it said, someone remarks on him saying that they're sure he's right every time. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll be reading. I mean, Agatha Christie is extremely prolific, and I wouldn't even fathom thinking that I would read all of her books. But I wonder if there's ever a time where he might be wrong. Maybe there's a twist in one of them where he ends up being wrong. But he's not even the only detective that she writes about, so I don't know how many are just on Poirot. So I was disappointed with this choice. I feel I probably could have chosen a better book if I had known. I try not to read too much about the book before I choose them. I feel like that's part of the fun. I know recently I got a lot of 5-star books because of that, and you don't go in with too much expectation. I didn't even know what the story was. I just thought it was going to be detective, and Halloween Party to me was screaming spooky. So I hope that you guys at least enjoyed the pumpkin buying that I did and some fall leaves that I was showing, and I still have the tiny little pumpkin that is just so freaking adorable behind me. And maybe, I don't know what Amanda chose yet, but maybe she has chosen something that was more enjoyable, especially to watch talking about. If you guys have read Agatha Christie, share your thoughts. If you've either read this one or if there's a favorite that you love, please let us know. And I know we're going to be doing a November TBR soon, and we're going to be recapping October. So until next time.
Hey guys, welcome to the next day. I was trying so hard yesterday to finish Ninth House, but I got to chapter 28. The book is winding down. I only have, let's see, that's page 397, and there are 450, so I only have about 53 more pages left in this book. And it is so good. I am loving this book so far. Chapter 25, what the heck? I did not see that coming. It was a little bit scary and very sad, I have to say. I am really kind of interested in these characters, and specifically the sad part. I don't want to give anything away, but it was just really sad, and I am really anxious to finish the rest of this book. I feel like although the story is winding down and a lot of the questions have been answered, there's still a few more questions that need to be answered. And also I know there is another book after this one called Hellbent, and I will be reading it, but I feel like maybe there might be something else left in the end of this to kind of propel you into the next book. I don't know if it's going to be like a cliffhanger, or, you know, I'm thinking that some other situation might come up at the end, and that is where the next book will start off, but we will see. Also, I just remembered there's a prologue. I think it's a prologue. I think it's called the prologue, not just chapter 1 in the book. And it is, yeah, prologue. So there is a prologue in the beginning of this book, and you're kind of thrown into I guess present day, and then the book kind of takes you back in time to unfold the events that led up to the prologue. And so I totally forgot about that, and I am very now very interested to find out at the end. For some reason, when I started reading chapter 8, I was just remembered the little prologue in the beginning, and the book's kind of all tying all that time together now, so it's starting to come together, and I'm really excited for these last 50 pages. Okay, I have just finished reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I loved this book. I thought this book was so good. It is almost 5 stars. I kept thinking yesterday, like, I want to give this book 5 stars, but I just can't for some reason, and I don't know why. Because I know yesterday I read a good chunk of the book, especially the end of the book, so I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I love this story. This book is so perfect. I love the writing. Why can't I give this book 5 stars? And I think that for me, jumping back and forth in the timeline frequently kind of makes me have to, it kind of slows down the pace for the book for me. I know a lot of people probably have no trouble just flying through books where you jump around in different timelines, but it's like every other chapter you're going from winter back to fall, to winter back to fall, and then later in the book you go from winter back, or jump forward to spring, and then jump forward to, or I'm sorry, you jump forward to early spring and then jump forward to spring. So there's a lot of time jumping in this book, and I kind of have to pause and reset between the chapters. It just kind of disrupts the flow of the book for me. But this is a wonderful story. There is a lot of violence and trauma towards women, so if that's something that you don't like, then maybe this might not be a good book for you, but there is a lot of that. I do feel like it's a little bit overdone. I just feel like in stories, when there's too much of it, it just feels kind of overdone, like you're just, you know, the characters almost seem like perpetual victims, and even though they do get their revenge in a certain way and they do fight back, it just feels like women are just sheep among wolves and they're for, you know, whatever, for the taking. And it just seems, when there's so much of that in the book, it feels a little overdone to me personally. That being said, I didn't mind it in the book. It really is a huge part of the story. It really gives you insight to the characters and why they think the way they think and do the things that they do. And, you know, it's just a part of the book. I really enjoyed the relationship between Alex, who's the main character, and the detective that she works with. The detective is a very straight-laced guy. He follows the book. He is pretty good at his job, but when he interacts with Alex and they kind of build up to a working friendship, he sort of starts to bend the lines and kind of realizes that sometimes you have to bend the rules in order to get the bad guys in the end. So, you know, I really love their relationship. Nothing at all romantic at all. Just a very good working relationship. They're a good team. They work well together and they can kind of help each other when they need it. So they're a really good duo. Alex can see ghosts, and she's just had this ability her whole life. She's just grown up her whole life being able to see these grays, and so it's a very spooky read. Lots of ghosts, lots of hauntings, lots of talking with ghosts, very dark and spooky. Perfect if you're a seasonal reader and you want to read something spooky and ghosty for Halloween. I cannot wait to start the next book. I do understand now why the next book is called Hellbent. You kind of get that at the very last line of this book. After you read it, you understand, oh, Hellbent is the next novel. Overall, very good book. I think that's it. I think that's everything I needed to say about it. Let me check my tabs real quick. I think that's really all of my opinions and thoughts. Without giving the story away, if you have read this book, please comment below. Let me know what you thought, if you enjoyed this book. I understand dark academia might not be for everybody, but I really enjoyed my time reading this book. I find Leigh Bardugo's writing just exemplary. I love her writing. It's very, when you're reading it, it feels like her writing is effortless. I know it's not. I know that she has probably spent years working on books, getting them in her head, getting the writing right. I mean, I can only imagine how much work it is to write a novel, but the beauty of her writing makes it feel effortless and the story just flows. Except of course when you have to jump timelines, but the story flows very well, the words flow very well on the paper, and you just can feel, she taps all the senses you have, the smells, the feels, the sounds, the sights, like all your senses are immersed into the story of this book, and I just love it. It was wonderful. So yeah, that's all my thoughts on this book. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you felt the same way if you've read this book. And let me know about Hellbent. Is it just as good as Ninth House? I want to know, and I am going to read it. So we hope you guys have enjoyed our Spooky Reads video. Please let us know, are there any videos that you want to see from us? We do have some good ideas coming up. This time of year is very busy for us, so I know we have a lot of really good ideas that we're going to be putting out starting the beginning of next year, and a few really good videos coming up the next couple of months in November, December. If you have not seen our most anticipated releases, that's our previous video we posted. Please go back and check it out, because there are so many good book titles coming out at the end of this year that we can't wait for. So hopefully you guys can find some new reads that you're interested in.